Hello, divine, beautiful souls. This is Energy Speaks Podcast with your host, Catriel. This season, we are stepping into the Zodiac Energy Empowerment Series. And we have our practitioner for online Sagittarius class, Christopher, also known as Rootz. How are you doing today? Thank you for being here.
Oh, we're excited. This is a blissful endeavor of self-discovery, as always. How are you in this moment, Catriel?
Taking a deep breath. And I'm very, very excited to have this conversation with you. Like, this week has been so fast paced. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I hear you.
I mean, we got Pluto going into Aquarius, the sun went into Aquarius. We got, Uranus and Taurus, revolutionary energy and grounding in something like what's going on. Then, not to mention our full moon in Leo, like, oh,
Hello. And then you, of course, want to have a conversation with the Leo right at this moment. So, it's perfect timing. I didn't plan this. Like I said, I had no idea what's happening. Here we are. I'm just living life, right? Because that's sometimes what we have to do. Leo's all about creativity, playfulness, and just means being in the world. Although a lot of the time, I will admit right now, it's been being in the cave, right? Because it's winter.
mm.
As much as winter we get in the northern hemisphere in Florida. But energetically, right? I've noticed that I've been really slowing down. And it's really fascinating because like I'm witnessing you on the other end, you're like bit boppity boop bouncing around, but you're in this creative spiral that's not just like just now planted seeds, right? You've been planting these seeds for years and you've been building, and this is momentum that's carrying you forward in this powerful trajectory, which is kind of what the whole thing about Sagittarius is about, right? You
Yeah,
had to
wow.
take those steps back to then catapult forward, and here you are. What,
You know,
3 years
th
later since we met?
Thank you for like kind of taking a step back with me with that. Cause like, yeah, I mean, how many conversations did we have of like, I want to do the Zodiac Energy Empowerment Series. I want to do the Zodiac Energy Empowerment Series. Like, I'm like a freaking puppy dog, like, and we're
Let
here.
and you never let that bone go. And look at you now, right? And all the different aspects that it has also been a part of, right? You had this energy, Zodiac Energy Empowerment course, this baby that you've been nurturing, honoring, loving, and then like testing it out, seeing what felt good for you. And then some things didn't feel good. So you like
Yeah.
set that up on a shelf. And then when it came back in you, and then now you're excited and you're passionate and you're like, yeah, buddy, let's go. Yeah, buddy, let's go. Right? That is amazing, right?
Oh, man.
So I have to acknowledge you on that because somebody has to. If you, I'm sure you're encouraging yourself. I'm sure that you've got plenty of support around you, but I just want to be that other voice that's going to echo it of like, I see you. Good job.
Thank you. It's like, you know, I've been all over the world, and this is the point of where I'm like actually, in a way, planting myself for at least a few months. But in that few months, there's definitely that Sag energy of like, go, 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 go. And, I've been noticing like how my attitude is everything. How like I really okay. So Sag rising here, like I have to like I self speak is everything with Sag, and it's like the eternal optimist. And it's like bringing that energy and keeping it going because it's so easy with Scorpio to be like, roar. And because like you can get some intensity, and when things don't necessarily go your way, or when they do, then you really come off like a nut job because you're super intense. But yeah, it's been a beautiful journey, and it's just the beginning. And I'm super excited to see what holds you know, um, for the, the the meat and potatoes essentially of the series. And that's really coming into like, I will tell you, Sagittarius class was not an easy one for me to find, like tune into, because I had so many different ideas. I was like, well, I only get well, luckily I had two choices, right? Because like what I mean by that is I had the in person and the online. And so like I got to pick two two things that I get to like highlight. But it was like I for the in-person class we're doing like more culture and storytelling, around the fire, bringing in like the Lakota tradition. But
Mm.
like, and then the stars, being under the stars, and direction, which is all part of Sag. But there was so much more that I wanted to like touch upon. And so I was like, it literally like I let go. I was like, all right, it'll come to me. And it was like a lightning bolt. Aquarius hit me. It was like tarot, the journey, roots.
The discovery of what we are inspired to do, right? It's like taking that moment to step back to give that perspective of the wider view. And what are we aiming for in our life, right? It's so fascinating, right? Because I just listened to Tony Robbins, as I'm sure many people do regularly, just like randomly will listen to him. And he gave this, like, it was a sound bite that just like clicked with me. How we do anything is then what we get. If we do things from a lack of scarcity or frustration or fear, or anxiousness, then we're just going to keep generating more, right? And I'm sure there's other people who have said it, but today it just rang true, right?
Mm,
And so it's fascinating that then we're encouraged to step back in Sagittarius energy to now, where am I projecting myself? What are my
mm,
goals, my aspirations, my vision for the reality I'm desiring to create, right? Much as the
mm,
Zodiac Empowerment course is your baby, right? It's the how do I want to do it, right? Well, there's this way of doing it, then there's this way of doing it, but there's also A, B, C, D, E, F, G. All these options are open for me. But then in reality, we can't, as a human being, dive super far depth into every single thing, right? We can dip our toes here, we can dip our toes here, and here and here, but there's going to be that one thing or maybe two things that's our meat and potatoes. And you're okay. You're allowed to shift from focus from A to B to C, just being honoring our journey with it, right? Knowing that
yeah.
every single thing that we've learned is building us to this next plateau, this next level. And so that's what I'm really bringing with the Zodiac, Sagittarius, and Tarot energy specifically is the ability to explore. What are
Mm,
we feeling, right? I like to, and this is just because I love it so much, is when I have a question about like, do I take A or B? My favorite is like, do I go to Harvard or do I go to Yale? Well, I ask, well, what's the energy of going to Harvard? What's the energy of going to Yale? Right? You might have your pros and cons for each list. I pull tarot cards. I pull tarot cards for like, what is the energy of A? What is the energy of B? Because that's how I make my decisions, my choices in life sometimes. And then that gives me a better plateau. Well, once I choose it, I let go of the other option entirely. I don't be like, oh, well, if I would have went over there, I would have learned those lessons. Okay, great. I would have learned those lessons. But here we are now. We're in these lessons over here, right?
yeah.
As I think you know, this like last 2-year period, I've easily had well over like 15, 20 drops. And it's purely been I'm just curious. I'm just like, I don't know what this world is like. I'm going to go explore it. And then what's been really fun is feeling my brain morph and to shift into how each role is needing my essence and energy to fulfill it. And like, absolutely, I would be resistant to it in most cases. And so usually when I was resistant, the job became, it disappeared. Like, whether I was let go or I let go of it, regardless, it was more of a awareness check. How are we being in these spaces? And I was just able to be in so many different ways that I was able to find what I liked and what didn't like. And that's also the fun thing about this journey. I believe you originally were like, let's talk about the fool's journey, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's perfect. The fool knows nothing, but is following a sensation. They're following this like light or this goal or this aspiration. They're like, I want to go save the world, or I want to go, do whatever. I don't know. Saving the world is such a big ubiquitous thing. I'm like, okay, well, I would rather help feed it personally because I like food. I'll go out in the garden and work the garden, but this modern day capitalist society that we're in is fascinating. But
Yeah.
you must work, wage slave.
So speaking of journeys, there's so many directions I could go here. But
I know.
kind of like with A and B, like Yale or Harvard, let's start here. A lot of our listeners and our viewers, unless they've listened to our past podcasts together, probably don't know a lot about you. Tell us more on how you got on this journey of working with the tarot, the astrology. What are the different tools you've cultivated over the years? I know that's a large question, but
I can
let's
sum
dive
it up
in.
in like 5-10 minutes. Yeah, totally. So I started reading cards at 13. And to go back even further is like when I was like 6 or 7, I was already hearing. I could see spirits. I was talking to spirits. I was dreaming, and I'd have like massive downloads happening while I was sleeping. And I still have those massive downloads. They're fascinating. I love them. But at one point while I was 13, I was like, I need to have a modality that I'm able to physically, tangibly understand what's happening. Yes, it's one thing to get a great, powerful message from the beyond, but it's another thing to also have it physically, tangibly represented in front of me in such a way that you can't deny that this card, while you're going through like a mental breakup or a relationship breakup, that the devil card pops up, right? The devil card is all about the details, is about, are you sure that this is the commitment you still want to be a part of? Right. So when cards like that show up in a conversation about relationship stuff, it's powerful. You can't deny that it's there. And so I asked for a tool. I was actually 13. I asked for a tool. I didn't specify which one that would help me understand how to work with tarot or how to work with spirits. And so one of my sisters was like, she just got a deck. She gave it to me. She didn't like it. I ended up not liking that deck either. That's fine, right? Some people love their
What was
first
that
deck, some
first
people
deck?
don't. It was a generic deck that had just had a bunch of pips on it. Pips are like the single little dots. And
Yeah.
it's cute. It's not a thing. I don't read that style of deck. I never have. I like very intricate, ornate decks. Currently, I'm working with the Dreams of Gaia deck.
Oh, I love
But
that deck. Wow.
gorgeous.
Raven Faven or something, I think.
Yeah, Raven fell on, or yeah, I don't know. But I
That
love
is
it
one of
because it
my
also
absolute
focuses.
favorites. Oh,
Yeah, she works with a lot of dragon energy. I'm here for it. I had a whole series. We haven't even started talking about dragons yet. Um,
Got my dragon
so,
here.
oh my goodness, look at that egg. She's so shiny. Ah,
As a gift.
bit. Power up, baby dragon. Um,
What?
we're gonna have to exchange some information about the dragon egg. Um, bitch.
I know someone who makes dragons. I got a second gift the next day, which is great.
Obsessed. Um, so back on me because otherwise we'll get sucked into another rabbit hole about dragons, and we will come back to the dragons. We will come back to the dragons because dragons for me didn't show up until I was like 32, right? And I went through periods of ebb and flow of like being so fully aware of spirits and calling in and manifestation and Abraham Hicks, right? We had that whole thing. We had 7 hermetic principles. For me, I've always focused on what I would consider the logical frequencies, right? Which is like
Mm.
tarot, astrology. Um, I love herbalism, but you earth signs can keep that shit. Like I love it for you that your brain, like I can feel crystals. I can feel crystals, but they're also usually made from fire. The fire of the earth breaking and compounding and squishing and like I get that. I feel that. Herbs, I don't know. Other people do it. I love it. Um, I don't know why I went there with that, but oh, because I focus more on the logic, right? Because
Yeah.
like tarot is a logic-based system of understanding um it's understanding all of reality in the various compartments and ways that of its being, much like this map of astrology. For some people, they can be like, oh, well, that just sounds like a very emotional thing, like maybe a little guarded energy, like this Cancer frequency might be, right? That might be a Cancerian response. Or like, because you were talking about like your depth with Scorpio energy. Because you dive deep, you're very passionate about things that you are, and you may not always show your passion to it, right? It may be
Yeah.
hiding, but when it's ready, bam, we're out there.
It's
Here it
potent.
is. Uh, but that could also just be the Leo rising energy, right? And some people would talk
Sag.
about things in that Sag rising.
It's
Well,
okay.
yes, I just can be right up in your face, but um uh it's both. It's fascinating. And it, and that's just the fun about exploring consciousness, right? It's
Yeah.
in Aleister Crowley's The World card of the Major Arcana of Tarot. He has the map of the world. It's basically a woman in the center, almost like holding a mirror reflection plate of like the light of consciousness echoing off to a specific zodiac sign, right?
Mm.
And so I love that interpretation of the world because it's like, great, you have completed your lessons in this essence. Now it's time to go learn this lesson over here, right? So we're stepping into the age of Aquarius, right? As I'm talking about all this logic and communication and stuff, but it's also how do we want to connect with each other? What are our scripts that we want to be speaking with each other, right? Because it is a
Yeah.
lot about community, communion in the age of Aquarius. And it's so funny that it's happening right as I'm sure you know about this, is that every time we come back to this age of Aquarius, civilizations have completely shut down. They've completely been overturned. And what are we currently witnessing in the good old US of A is all of the politicians, we're recognizing the fallibilities, the corruption as it is. And we're speaking up and we're speaking out and we're voting with our dollar. We're
So it's actually really interesting you brought that up. So I was talking the other day with a friend, about the importance of Pluto and Aquarius. The last time that Pluto and Aquarius happened was during the Revolutionary Wars. We're talking about the American, the French. It was all in that era. And before that, it was like in the 1500s. I don't have the exact date. Um, but what was unique is I looked up what was Uranus in. Now, here's the fun fact. Uranus wasn't discovered until the last Pluto and Aquarius. Interesting.
Hmm.
So, but because we have the data that we can pull, we can still find out when, what Uranus was in, because it's a calculation essentially. So
Right.
Uranus was in Gemini. We were creating like this revolutionary energy that was like creating worlds in doubles, which makes a lot of sense. And right now, we have Uranus and Taurus, very different energy, pairing up with Pluto and Aquarius. Now, let's take one step further. I wanted to see, okay, well, when does Pluto enter Aquarius the next round? That's not until 2272. And when I looked that up and I said, okay, where is Uranus in that? It's still in Taurus, which is wild. So what we're planting seeds for right now is actually taking us through multiple transits of Pluto and Aquarius.
And so just so that our listeners can further follow up, is that Taurus is like the energy of home. It's of your hearth. It's like creating the world we're wanting to be a part of. And it's like, I don't care what anybody else is doing. This is what it lights me up. And this is how I want my stability, my structure to look like. And you can be very hard-headed and stubborn. Those are things that are typically referred to with beings that have horns. Well, we're also looking at you, Capricorn. You're welcome. Um, uh, but it's so important, right? That we're paying attention to the signs. Thank you for bringing that up. I had no connection to that, right? My bag is tarot. This is why I'm like, wait, that you were so excited about it. You wanted to know when the next one was? Yes. For those of you not visual, I'm literally golf clapping right now. Or finger clapping, whatever. Right, because it's such a fascinating thing, right? Each one of us brings our medicine to the table in our own unique flavor. And that is what is so, for me, empowering about living in a more community-oriented space where we get to zoom out and zoom in. That's why I also like Zoom, right? Because we get to be like, we're going to have a conversation about this container, this quadrant of energy. And that's what I love about Zooming, right? Because sometimes when you're in a social situation, you're like, I don't know what's going on. We're just here to have a good time, whatever that means. Usually it's ubiquitous with a lot of drugs. I don't know what your 20s look like, but I know what mine looked like, okay?
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's funny. Oh man. So,
Yeah.
what is your
Rabbit hole.
favorite? What is your absolute favorite deck, bar none?
First of all, that's really hard.
I know. Top three. No.
Top three, and I give caveats for each one, right? Top three with caveats is, of course, we love Dreams of Gaia. It's beautiful. It's magnificent. For a first-time reader, it's dense. It's really dense, especially because it completely extrapolates out what the major arcana is, because it breaks it down into specific archetypes, right? Instead of just magician, high priest, empress, and emperor, it gives you the energy of the choices, child, youth, maiden, mother and father. So we're already at 6, and it's actually only 4 cards in traditional major arcana, right? And then it extrapolates even more. It's like, no, we want to be nuanced, but then it's like here's 8 pages per book, and it's great. It's amazing. I also got the hero card this morning from the
Oh,
fire
nice.
section. So I didn't even read it. I was just like, yeah, I know. We're stepping into our hero arc energy, right? Whatever that may mean, whatever that may look like, but it's about showing up with your passion, whatever that looks like. Your passion is going to be different, maybe different day to day for you, but it's going to be different regardless of your neighbor. Your neighbor is going to be more interested in something else, and that's great. Let them be them, right? So Dreams of Gaia, solid, like 9.6 out of 10. And those 0.4 points is literally just because it's a little bit harder for somebody to jump in and play with. That's the only reason. That's it. I love the Light Seers Tarot. And that one follows the traditional Rider-Waite Smith, but it does it in a more modern style and more beautiful characters. I don't have it right here. I do have a copy of it. It's very beautiful, and the description on each card is about like 2 pages max, and they're small pages. So again, much more beginner friendly. Of course, and we're not even talking about the art and the messages that you're supposed to be getting from the symbolism, because both of these decks completely stray away from traditional Rider-Waite Smith deck system. So that's 2 of my favorite decks right now. And then I will always recommend this book. People, there's so much controversy over the artist of the man, but we do have to bring in Aleister Crowley's Thoth deck.
I knew it.
because because the visuals are absolutely stunning. It literally brings out and evokes. In fact, it was painted with the intention that you could do meditations and traverse off into other alternate dimensions. Yes,
Wow.
it has happened. Yes, it is powerful. And yes, 12 out of 10 recommend this book, this deck. You're going to need other copies of other books to help you understand it. It is like, if I was telling you that this deck was complicated, this is top tier. This is like 4 tiers above even where this deck is. As far as complicated. But I do have 2 honorable mentions. 2. I have to bring them in. One is the Wild Messengers by Lola Pickett, also artist by Tanya Castile. It is actually not available currently for printing. They've just put in an order for re-upping because it's sold out. This deck sold out within a couple of weeks. It's absolutely gorgeous. Tanya Castile is the artist. Everything is a celestial animal. It does not follow traditional tarot as well, which is why I have to be like, I love it. It's an honorable mention. Doesn't follow the traditions, but the alchemical aspect of it that Lola Pickett brings in is exceptional, bar none. She brings animal spirit medicine in. She does words of affirmation. She constantly is calling forth for your radical transformation in the book in an easily manageable way, to the point now when I see 3 ants, I'm always thinking about putting in the work, having patience with the world around me and letting that be known. And it's just like how the way that she speaks about animals brings new lessons to life. It's glorious. And the final honorable mention is, of course, the traditional Rider-Waite Smith designed by Pamela Smith, because it is the first deck that became incredibly popular. It wasn't based off of nobility. It literally radically transformed my world by the fact that it exists. And so to not have that as part of the list is ridiculous. You said, what's your favorite? Here are my favorites. But Rider-Waite Smith literally is the premier. It is the definition of why you understand your colors, numbers, and symbols. you will break down every single card of tarot in a manageable way, right? If you look at 78 cards and try to just understand 78 cards, you're going to have issues. But if you understand what colors are meant to represent, what flowers are meant to represent, and the different types of flowers, you can start to build what the deck means and what the symbols mean and what the card is intending to tell you without mastering all of the words and keywords that each thing would otherwise break down. Thanks. There's my soapbox. I'm going to set it down now. But I
So
don't like it at all.
I have a fun little interactive piece for whoever can get this answer correct. I will give them a one card pull, like little thing. So if you're like on Spotify and like I'll put the information how you can contact me. But if you can guess how many card decks that Christopher Rootz has, I will do a card pull for you. So we'll talk about that later.
I actually don't know the answer to that question right now.
Exactly.
I
knew you wouldn't, but I figured it'd be a nice little interactive piece. If somebody reaches out, you can go and count them later. Because since I don't know the answer and you don't know the answer, we're all gonna find out the answer. Just on the side.
And the caveat being is that I did recently purge a lot of decks. So the number that you thought was, it probably is less, but it's still probably more than
I've never actually done that, but I noticed that when you're on Spotify and you're like, putting it out there or whatever, you can ask questions. Like it gives you things that you can interact with the audience. So I'm gonna try it out. I figured I'd put it in here. I'm like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
My top three, I feel, and this is just from the top of my head. Well, it's 1000% my absolute favorite deck is the Orasoma deck. It was my mentors, Judith Hitchman, who has passed on to the great beyond. And she, oh my gosh, I wanted this deck for so long, and I was inherited it. I looked it up when she passed away, and I was missing her, and I didn't have her inheritance. Like I wasn't passed on that inheritance at that point. I looked it up, and it's only available at that point in New Zealand for like $400. And I was like, okay, what I love about that deck is the colors, the pictures, the artwork is absolutely stunning. Works so well with the Orasoma system, with the bottles, but it has a nice gem. It has two versions of the Fool's Journey. It is the outward journey and the return journey. And that, oh my gosh. Like, and then it's connected to a bottle. Like one side of the card is the bottle, and then the other side is like it is the tarot card, and then they also brought in angels too. And so I'm like
merging of worlds, man. The merging.
Seriously. And then my second, I would say is the Dreams of Gaia deck. And then my third, I don't remember the exact name, but it's like an astrology kind of deck that is by the artwork is by Sierra Marchetti. And my friend literally just pulled it out the other day, and I was like, I actually did a reading with it with my friend Andrea on top of a Space Needle in Seattle. So I was like, it was just so like organic. I said, what is going on right now?
I'm
Oh,
like, an astrology. It's interesting because I'm like, an astrology deck.
it's
It's
tarot, but it connects with the different astrology. Like it has different planetaries and zodiac energies on it. But the deck is beautiful
mm.
in in the
Oh,
artwork.
I love
Sarah,
Ciro Marchetti's work. He was
oh my
the first
gosh.
deck that I actually had that I loved was the Ciro Marchetti deck. Yes, so I'm fully with you. Like,
And I also
and,
love his Lenormand card. I don't even know if I say it right,
mhm.
but
Lenormand, yeah.
yeah, it's he has this one that's like it's so cool. Like I really connected with that one. I don't know the name of that one either.
And the beauty of it is that you probably don't need to, right? If you were lit up about it, you'd have it, right?
Ironically, I don't have that deck anymore.
Right. I actually just
Wait a
purged
minute.
all of my Ciro Marchetti decks because I recognize that my love for them have now passed on,
I gave it to
right?
you.
You did. You
I
did.
gave it to you.
And I also let it go. I let it go to somebody else too.
That's amazing. That is so cool. That's it. It's the journey. We can see, like, even with a deck of cards, the journey of it. Like, that is powerful. On that note,
And what's funny
oh,
is
go
that it
ahead.
went to the five elements. It
No
returned home to the
way.
five elements. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the most wild thing. The other day, I went into all five elements. I was actually there last night, but when I was looking through, I said, wait a minute. I see this deck here. And I was like, this feels like mine, like at one point. But I was like, I didn't put it in here. But I was like, I'm like, should I get it again? No, I don't know what to do with this.
Full circle, right? Full circle.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
incredible. But like we'll see what happens. It would be really funny if I ended up getting it back.
You know? And that is kind of the journey of and just to wrap it up back into the journey of the fool, right? Is
Yeah.
that we do come back to different areas, different aspects of our life, and we get to re-explore them of like, okay, well, I'm so glad I got to spend time with this. Does this fulfill me? I know how I felt about it in the past,
Mm.
right? And then it's like it's okay to re-explore, but then if you're like, oh, I'm good. I don't need this anymore. It's okay to then not pick it back up or to let it down, you know?
It's amazing.
Oof.
And on that
Yeah.
note, I would love for you to go a little bit deeper in like if someone when someone comes to the Sagittarius class,
Mm.
what are we going to be exploring?
It's such a good conversation. Um, the essence and energy that I'm understanding from Sagittarius energy of how we kind of talked about it is it's this invitation to explore ourselves, to sit with and perhaps even goal and dream vision boarding is kind of the concept that I've been working with. It's like taking a moment to step back, to sit back, right? As an archer draws their arrow back to fire it off, we have to take a moment to really examine where have we been, where do we want to go, and what are perhaps some steps that we can see to get there,
Mm.
right? And I actually, of course, I have a reading for this, and it's called the Sagittarian Arrow. I've literally had it since before you even asked me to do this. Like, I just clarity, right? I've literally been doing this one style of reading. It goes off the present moment alignment. The next edition is the Sagittarian Arrow that goes to the star, right? Not everybody wants to do that because it ends up being like a 2, 3 hour reading. That's fine, right? But for me, that's home. I live there, right?
Yeah.
But then the thing is about building it into logical steps for us to navigate forward with. It's one thing to have a reading, and it's one thing to do a reading, but the next step is always taking the action to then create the life that we desire, that we're dreaming of, right? And it doesn't always have to be like you physically going out and doing the work, but let's just say if you're trying to have a hot date on Friday or Thursday, let's be real, it's COVID times, not trying to be out there on Friday. No, whatever. That was attempted a joke, and I'm not even gonna go there. I'm so annoyed at myself for saying it like that.
Oh my goodness.
Regardless, um, it's a perfectly healthy time for all of us. We are living in whole, healthy, complete bodies if we are listening to our body. If you're ignoring your body, congratulations. Your body's gonna tell you you're ignoring. Um, so annoyed at myself. Um, so it's when we have our dream. Okay, what are you gonna get when you come to the class, right? You're gonna get a reading style. Much like I have this behind me, I'm actually going to pull up a slide that I will send out for the class. It'll be a little worksheet. I want to generate it beforehand so people who want to print it out, they can. That way, it's not going to be hard. Anybody could write it down on a sheet of paper. But for the girlies and the school people that love that shit, love it for you, right? This is that logic brain stuff that my brain sometimes loves and otherwise abhors. So you're going to get that. You're going to get a format to make it so that it's more grounded. Again, earth sign stuff, grounded and practical steps for you to take action in your life. The intention being is that we're going after your goal, whatever it is. And then we're going to break it down into bite-sized chunks. If your goal is to, let's say, lose 20, 30 pounds, great. What is the energy you're wanting to hold and anchor in for yourself, right? Some people might say, I'm so excited about the journey of taking myself and losing this weight. I am so excited that I get to fit into those size 32 pants and then feel that energy in your body, right? So we're going to practice the sensation of manifestation by anchoring in a sensation that isn't currently in your body. We're going to anchor it in or root it in, right?
Yeah.
And it's of having our goals already achieved and manifesting from there. The fascinating thing is the fool's journey. The fool is already in the space of the energy that we are going to be anchoring in, of the joy, of the bliss of going through that journey. He doesn't know where we're going to go. You have an idea of the trajectory that you're wanting to take yourself, and it may take you a couple of years to get it off the board. Energy speaks, right? Zodiac Empowerment class, right? It may take a couple of years to get there, but look at the energy that you've carried for years about it, right?
Truth.
You work on that. So that's the thing that we'll all be anchoring in, knowing that a process isn't going to be done in a single session, right?
Yeah.
Nothing was done in a single session. This took 4 years to come together, 3 years to fully fruition, right?
Yeah.
But that consistency, you watering and tilling the soil, right? What works, what doesn't work. The same thing. We're going to be doing that for ourselves for this project. It can be very simple. Yeah. But at the same point, just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So this will be everything for the spiritual, for the business minded, for the fitness minded. This is a thing, this is a class for everybody because this is a mindset conversation that I'm generating. Mindset and emotional embodiment. So of course there's going to be a meditational part. That's the dance that we're working with. Right.
I love that. What do they need to bring?
Themselves. It's cute if you have a tarot deck. It's cute. You can bring your tarot deck and work with and see what energy is there, what's blocking you. It's great if you have the deck. And then we could, because we only have about an hour and a half, we're not going to be able to do like 10 readings. We're not going to do that, right?
Yeah.
The conversation is set up to help you create it. And then we can go from there if there's further coaching desired.
You actually have it for
That'll
2
be available.
hours.
I do have it for 2 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe
I had to
one.
refer.
I'm like, so maybe we could do one, maybe two people, like going through the whole process to help other people see and anchor it in, right? Live examples. I noticed that some people really hate that and some people love it. So, we're trying to go with the middle route of like, here's some practicality, let's explore it, but also everybody's got to figure out their way to Rome, you know. Your path is gonna look different, baby, way to Rome. Or wait, no, it's all paths lead to Rome.
Can
Because
all
we're
paths
always
lead to
roaming to Rome.
Glastonbury or something?
Yes, because we're always roaming to Rome, and then Glastonbury as well. Yeah, that's on the way, right? That's like that's the town before.
It's the heart.
Yeah. So this is going to be a good time. And it's super important that we are taking the time to anchoring in what we want, right?
Yeah.
Because it's about to be spring in the Northern Hemisphere. As it's spring, we're then giving ourselves trajection. I think it's so fascinating that everyone's like, oh my God, new year, new me. It's January 1st. In the middle of winter, we're going to go and start doing a gym routine. No, no, I will not do that in the middle of winter. In fact, I will be in my bear cave stuffing my face. Okay. That's what it is. Right.
Oh my
But when
God.
it hits spring, in March, April, that's when we can go to the gym and get our girlish figure on for summer, right? not not in the middle of winter. That winter is wintering, right? Spring is springing forward. Then summer says, what is that? What are you doing? You've got a book. Is that your
I
notebook?
yeah.
Oh my God, look at that. Look at that. And where can they is that a workbook?
It is a workbook. It's
Uh-oh.
available on Amazon in any country. And it's only $22. This is a great, great tool for this series. I have catered questions towards every single class. They're not the same questions. There's only 7 questions that are exactly the same for each one, but it's catering towards the chakras. And really harnessing that energy in, because when we start to move from one class to the other and we see how maybe we have a different connection with source through these different activities, or through our solar plexus or whatever, we're gonna see an actual journey go on. Thank you for asking. I always have a hard time seeing if the thing is gonna show up, because like obviously I'm using this background, but
Right.
when I was like, oh my gosh, it works.
I was like, oh look, I hear a segue. I hear a segue that we can play with over here. Okay, perfect.
That being
And
said,
you know what's fascinating is as you're saying that about the journey through the sugar. Yeah. The journey through the sugars, right? So like mine might invite somebody more into their mental space, but then the meditation part, you might recognize more in your heart, your solar plexus, or even your root chakra, right? So it's fun, right? Different ones are going to have different sensations, right? So what I'm hearing is you taking a moment to creating space for people to honor that journey for themselves, right?
Yeah. And I use this for our first class in Scorpio, which was the crystal gridding and intention setting class. And oh my goodness, I was like, this is so nice. I have all of my thoughts for this class. So if you can get your journal before it comes in like a day, it's wild. Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon.
You did something right. um, but yeah, so if you can get it before the class, anyone who's listening or watching, like it's super helpful. Like I here's the thing is like I don't want to just put something out there and be like, oh, you guys, you do it, but I'm not gonna do it. Like, no, I'm like, yay. And so, and here's the thing is like when you have the in-person classes, it's not as easy to to have your journal with you to write down, for certain classes, like sound bowl meditation, sound journey. You're not going to take out your journal, but it's great for
Right.
reflecting.
That's an after the fact. Right.
And for someone who's not, has no idea what the heck, like they've been watching this far and they're like, what is the Zodiac Energy Empowerment Series? Zodiac Energy Empowerment Series is we're connecting with the different zodiac energies through an activity. We have in-person classes, and then we have online. Rootz Christopher is our online practitioner. And we're also working through a specific model. This model is created by Chris Witecki, but it's based off of our process of creating. It's within the creation energies. So naturally, since we're at Sagittarius here, I'll take you through what we've already gone through. Scorpio, we start off with setting the sacred space, because when we have that zero energy, we have everything that's out here, which is the primordial energies. It is the chaos. It is, that unpredictableness, and it's moving around. But when we have this nice little circle here, we have a boundary, and it's creating this area of the sacred space. And this is our opportunity. You can start, even if you haven't started the series yet. We're only technically in Scorpio season or week right now. We're about to be in Leo, but you can do this at any point in time. And it's about connecting with what is your sacred space? How can I make things sacred around me? How can I have it's like creating what's comfortable in your room. That is a sacred space. And in that sacred space, you're really connecting to yourself and your divine creator. And then once we've really harnessed that energy and acknowledged that, we start putting things into the little sacred space, the ingredients. And we start off with bringing in Leo, that one energy, the connection with the sun, the heart. And we lead with the heart. We put the love in. And when we create things from our heart space, well, it makes it a lot more enjoyable. You can create things from other places, and normally it's like the primordial energy where it's like, yeah. But we want to set ourselves up for success. So leading with the heart. Then the second ingredient is our feelings. We take that heart energy, we drop it down into the soul level, and we create a vibration, because our feelings are a vibration. It's connected with our emotions, energy in motion. And we build up our soul, and we connect our heart and our soul together. And then we bring in the third ingredient, which is Sagittarius. And that's connected with our belief system, the stories we tell. It's connected with our expansion, our journey, and our attitude. And so that's where we're at as we've come through from Scorpio, Leo, Cancer into Sag. So if you would like to know more and want to know where all the information is, go to energyspeaksbycatriel.com. It will be, like on the little link thingy when you click this podcast. And you can check out Rootz on there. There's a practitioner part. You go onto the site and it'll have options for classes and events. The events will automatically take you to finding this particular class. And that class, let's just say it right now. It will be Tuesday, February 13th from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're somewhere else in the world and you want to come into this class live, make sure you have the time zones down. But when you are clicking on that event and you click on the ticket, which is $30, you'll see all the different types of time zones. I have them all for pretty much America, and UK area and Israel. But if I listed every single one, we'd be here all night. But then you can also find out more in detail, a written description about the class, which is underneath the practitioners. It's all about the classes. And you can start your journey through empowering yourself through the different zodiac energies. And it's going to be super fun.
Yeah.
That's my spiel. So is there anything else you want to mention in regards to the class? Did I mention everything?
I think everything got hit. Just where you can also find me is I'm Present Moment Alignment
Thank you.
on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. It's very easy because that's the type of reading that I do. I'm not here to focus on your past or your future. I'm here to be grounding us into this present moment, right? Because in the present moment, we align, allow, and let go so that creation can truly flow. So it's up to you to see how you want to grow. And I hope to see you in the flow.
Oof. Amen, amen, amen.
And the women's too, for all of us other folk. A man, a woman.
A man, a woman. I love it. That was good. That was great.
We're here to play and to honor and to. It's like we get so caught up in this, especially in this era of beingness, where it's the identity, and it's like, but are we speaking from love? And my dress and my call forth in life is, how can we speak more love into existence? There's already enough. I love this other card that I got today. Was attack, pain, fear, judgment, and any form of separation are merely calls for help. So if we're catching ourselves in these negative headspaces or these non-preferred headspaces, let's even say it that way, instead of saying it's negative or it's bad, right? Non-preferred headspaces, we can instead question and ask and invite ourselves, how can we love ourselves more in this next iteration, right? And that's what I'm really here to just create and to play and to integrate in a fun new way.
You do really well with rhyming, by the way. I want to say thank you so much, Christopher Rootz, for coming on here. It's such a joy to be able to have this conversation with you. And I also want to say thank you to all of our guests who are listening or watching. I love you all. And thank you all. Divine, beautiful souls. Over and out.